This is the Wells Fargo Center, where the 76ers have played for decades. But now, they believe it's time for a change. A proposed $1.5 billion arena in downtown Philadelphia promises to revolutionize the city's sports scene with unprecedented access to transportation. But the proposal has sparked massive controversy, with some fearing it could destroy the very community they've worked so hard to protect, and others warn it could become a nightmare for the city. To uncover the full story, I visited several key locations across the Philadelphia area. Let's dive in. To start things off, I'm in South Philly, at the city's Stadium District. This is home to the venues where all four of Philadelphia's major sports teams play. The Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field, the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park, and the Flyers and 76ers sharing the Wells Fargo Center. The venue was initially constructed back in 1996 for $210 million, or around $422 million in today's money. It was largely privately financed, outside of city and state funding, which helped pay a relatively small amount for the local infrastructure. It's owned by the group known as Comcast Spectacor. Upon initially moving into the arena after construction, the 76ers and Flyers were both owned by this group. This was until 2011, when Comcast Spectacor sold the 76ers to a group led by Josh Harris, co-founder of Apollo Global Management. In 2017, Harris partnered with David Blitzer, a senior executive at Blackstone Group, to form Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, which now holds ownership of the team. And this shakeup would play a big part in what we're talking about today. The arena's capacity is right around 20,500 for NBA games and around 1,000 less for NHL. As part of the $265 million Transformation 2020 initiative, Wells Fargo Center introduced a cutting-edge 4K kinetic scoreboard. Most fans would agree that the current arena meets expectations and remains functional without feeling overly outdated. After all, it was constructed in the 1990s, a period when over half of the NBA's active arenas were built. So with all of this in mind, it begs the question, why even build a new arena? The push for a new home stems from the team's desire for autonomy and improved facilities. As I mentioned, they share the Wells Fargo Center with the Flyers, who are still owned by Comcast Spectacor. The team has voiced dissatisfaction with player facilities, noting that despite investing $10 million of their own money in locker room upgrades, the available space and resources still fall short of modern standards. For medical needs, this sometimes forces them to use their training complex in New Jersey. Additionally, the scheduling process at the Wells Fargo Center often prioritizes concerts and other events over the 76ers, which they argue undermines their ability to set an ideal game schedule. And this issue has become even more pressing as 76ers star center Joel Embiid continues to highlight its significance. Team management also views their current situation as disadvantageous for competitiveness, citing that logistical issues impact factors that contribute to winning games and ultimately championships. Although Comcast Spectacor disagrees with the claim of an unbalanced scheduling process, the 76ers see the new arena as an opportunity to rectify these issues and gain the flexibility enjoyed by other NBA teams with modern downtown venues. Back in 2020, the team proposed a partially publicly funded plan that would build a new multi-billion-dollar arena at Penn's Landing. This didn't last long, as they were outbid for the site by another organization with an entirely different plan. After those plans fell through, the team began looking for other places around the city, which puts me right here today. The arena proposed would sit between 10th and 11th Street and Cuthbert and Market Street. The building would occupy the entire block, but it's not exactly open space as of today. Currently sitting on this plot is a massive mall known as the Fashion District. Before the Fashion District opened in 2019, the site housed the Gallery at Market East, a 1977 mall that declined by the 2000s and closed in 2015. The Fashion District brought tenants like Burlington and AMC, but faced challenges including a 2020 bankruptcy and tenant losses during the pandemic. Macerich, who now oversees operations here, supports the 76ers arena proposal as the property's natural evolution. And Macerich may be a bit biased in saying that, considering they're one of the ones working on the joint venture with David Edelman and 76ers ownership. One of the more interesting things about the unofficial arena design is that it would include an entirely first-floor retail space, somewhat of an ode to the mall that exists there today. The street-level retail would be completely open to the public and would be an almost entirely different venue from everything else above. The arena would hold around 18,500 seats, or around 2,000 less than Wells Fargo. It's part of the modern push to make new stadiums and arenas more intimate for fans, or at least that's what we're told. Like the Intuit Dome for the LA Clippers, which I just visited a few weeks ago, 76th Place would feature a massive wraparound continuous LED sign, allowing people in the seats higher up to enjoy the game more. The development would also include a large residential tower, which is expected to cost around $250 million, although I'm sure more details to come there. The proposed location is highly strategic, directly above Jefferson Station, Philadelphia's second busiest transit hub. The 76ers claim the site offers significant advantages over the Wells Fargo Center. Currently, less than 25% of attendees use public transportation, but the team expects that to exceed 50% with the new arena. Additionally, nearby parking garages, which are only slightly over half full during weekend events, can accommodate the projected 3,100 vehicle demand. Lastly, Uber data shows Center City as the primary origin for rides to 76ers games, making this location, in the eyes of ownership, ideal for fans. But we've only uncovered the positives so far, and as you know, there are two very different sides to this story. The development is located a block away from Chinatown. It's faced significant opposition from local groups like Asian Americans United and the Chinatown Coalition to oppose the arena. Critics, including Stephen Zhu of the Chinese Restaurant Association, argue that arenas primarily serve their own interests. He cited Washington D.C.'s Chinatown, where the development of Capital One Arena led to declines in both Chinese population and Chinese businesses. However, the 76ers see things differently, emphasizing that their project does not displace Chinatown residents and is outside Chinatown itself, two things that the developers of Capital One Arena could not say. 76ers ownership pledged significant resources, with a $50 million community benefits agreement to preserve Chinatown's character and support affordable housing. Despite being the largest public benefits agreement in Philadelphia's history, local groups rejected it, leaving me curious to understand why. Many small businesses in the area, particularly in Chinatown, rent rather than own their spaces. While the arena project would likely boost property values, an objectively positive result, it could have a major side effect by forcing these businesses out, potentially disrupting and fragmenting Chinatown. While the $50 million could help, it wouldn't offer a long-term solution, and there's lingering distrust due to unfulfilled promises from the 76ers. To explore this further, let's head over to the 76ers training facility in Camden, New Jersey. Many in the community are disillusioned because the promises made when the facility was built back in 2016, especially regarding revitalization of one of the poorest, highest crime areas in the US, have largely not materialized. By 2023, only 11 of the 275 employees were Camden residents, and despite the project's claims from the 76ers, visible improvements in the area outside of the facility have been minimal. One of the slogans for the new arena on the website is "The arena Philly deserves, no cost for Philly taxpayers." And while this is mostly true, there are some financial downsides as well. The deal would work like this. 76ers ownership covers the entire $1.3 billion price tag privately, which is somewhat of a breath of fresh air compared to many of the other recently constructed athletic venues I've covered on this channel. However, this isn't to say the public won't pay. If it's anything like some of the other modern stadium or arena projects, public funding will have to support a couple $100 million in infrastructure upgrades. Although that's entirely speculation at this point, as no figures have been made available. What isn't speculation though is a study that predicted the arena could result in $1 billion in lost tax revenue. Additionally, the study claimed that the arena would harm local businesses, with fans favoring newer upscale establishments over those in the surrounding area. According to an unofficial Axios 2024 survey, 81% of Philadelphians would prefer a rebuild of the Wells Fargo Center over the new Center City Arena. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because as usual, I just try and present the facts as accurately as possible, leaving it to you to form your own opinion. If it does get approved, the project would complete in 2031, just in time for the 76ers lease at Wells Fargo to run up. The channel is closing in on an unbelievable 20,000 subscribers, and I want to thank you. The support I've gotten has been incredible, and it's allowed me to travel all over the country to see some of these projects in person. With that being said, thanks again, and I'll see you next time.